There are no figures to show how many people in Barbados are engaging in the trend of vaping, but health officials say it is growing. They say more people are using the handheld electronic cigarettes and the vaping parlors around the island. Senior Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Arthur Phillips, says they're watching the developing situation in the U.S. very carefully. About 450 people there have had to be treated for serious respiratory illnesses, and all of them have a history of vaping.
This is consistent with some literature that has suggested for a while that vaping may be associated with some irritation to the lungs. But in this particular instance, what they're talking about is severe respiratory distress and individuals in many cases having to be hospitalized. Some individuals actually had to be ventilated.
Dr. Phillips says the vaping pen, as they're called, produces more than just water vapor. He explains that chemicals are produced from the liquid used and they can turn out to be more than just irritants.
We are going to be looking at whether there is any increase in severe respiratory complaints, and if there and for the respiratory complaints that we do see, we are asking healthcare providers to ask whether there's any history of vaping, and we'll be taking a note of that and monitoring that. We'll also be monitoring the investigations in the US, the reports out of the US in terms of their Centers for Disease Control and the Food and Drug Administration as they investigate what's happening in their setting as well.
Dr. Phillips says while vaping is legal, the restrictions that attach to cigarette use also apply to vaping. That is, the implements cannot be marketed to children and they're not to be smoked in public places. And Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George says there's growing concern about the use of marijuana oils in the vaping pens.
The feeling from out of the United States is that much of the respiratory disease is caused when persons add or use marijuana oils to this. Remember, smoking and marijuana is still illegal in Barbados, and therefore vaping with marijuana oils is an illegal practice and should not be done. It is not recognized as a form of medicinal marijuana by the Ministry of Health.
Dr. George says health officials are open to reviewing its position on medicinal marijuana and vaping as newer information becomes available. Lisa Broom, CBC News.